We live in a truly amazing time, a period often called the Age of Information. With a small device in our pockets, we hold the key to nearly all of human knowledge. We can look up historical dates, learn a new language, or watch videos from the other side of the world in an instant. It seems like we should be the smartest generation in history. We have more access to facts, figures, and different perspectives than any group of people who came before us. This incredible power to know anything, anywhere, at any time, should make us wiser, more thoughtful, and better informed. It's a wonderful promise. However, there is a strange and worrying paradox happening. A paradox is a situation that seems to have two opposite features, and yet is true. Despite having all this information at our fingertips, we seem to be losing our ability to think deeply. We are becoming less capable of careful reasoning, patient analysis, and telling the difference between what is true and what is false. It feels as though we are standing in an endless ocean of information, but we are becoming increasingly thirsty for real, meaningful thought. This is the central puzzle of our modern lives that we must explore. This situation leads to a difficult question. Are we, surrounded by endless knowledge, accidentally becoming the dumbest generation? It's a provocative thought, but one we need to consider seriously. The problem might not be the information itself, but how we are receiving it. We are constantly flooded with updates, notifications, and short pieces of content. Our attention is pulled in 100 different directions at once. This constant stream of data doesn't always lead to better understanding. Instead, it can leave us feeling overwhelmed and mentally tired, making it harder to focus on any single thing for a long time. The illusion of knowledge is a real danger in this environment. Because we can find answers so quickly, we might start to believe we understand a topic deeply when we have only skimmed the surface. We mistake knowing a fact for having true comprehension. This is like knowing the name of a flower without understanding how it grows, what it needs to survive, or its role in the ecosystem. This essay will explore how our relationship with technology is changing our minds, our schools, and our society, and what we can do to protect our most valuable asset, our ability to think. The feeling of being constantly distracted is not just an accident, it is a design. Many of the digital platforms we use every day, especially social media, are built to capture and hold our attention for as long as possible. These companies operate in what is called the attention economy. In this economy, your time and your focus are the most valuable products. The more time you spend on an app, the more advertisements you see, and the more money the company makes. So, these platforms are in a constant battle to win your attention away from everything else, including your own thoughts. These apps use clever psychological tricks to keep you coming back. They are designed to trigger the release of a chemical in your brain called dopamine. Dopamine is associated with pleasure and reward. Every time you get a new like, a comment, or a notification, your brain gets a small hit of this chemical, which feels good. This process is very similar to the experiments conducted by the psychologist B.F. Skinner, who trained animals to perform tasks by giving them small rewards. We are being conditioned, like Pavlov's dogs, to constantly check our phones for the next small digital treat. The result of this constant conditioning is a shattered attention span. Studies have suggested that the average human attention span has decreased significantly in the digital age. It is now said to be shorter than that of a goldfish. This isn't because our brains are naturally less capable, it's because they have been trained to seek constant new stimulation. A mind that is always distracted is a mind that is easier to influence. When we are not fully focused, we are less likely to question what we see, making us the perfect consumers and easier to persuade. This engineered distraction creates a cycle that is hard to break. The more we use these platforms, the more our brains adapt to this fast-paced, shallow level of engagement. We start to feel bored or anxious when we are not being stimulated by our screens. Silence and quiet moments for reflection become uncomfortable. We are losing the ability to simply be with our own thoughts, a state that is essential for creativity, self-awareness, and deep thinking. The noise of the digital world is drowning out the quiet voice of our own inner consciousness. Our brains are not fixed, rigid organs, they are remarkably adaptable. This quality is called neuroplasticity. It means that our brains can change their structure and function based on our experiences and behaviors. The pathways between our brain cells, or neurons, can become stronger or weaker over time. When we repeat an action, like practicing a musical instrument, the neural pathways for that skill become stronger. Unfortunately, this same principle applies to our digital habits. The constant multitasking and exposure to digital noise are physically rewiring our brains. When we are constantly switching between tasks, checking email, then scrolling through social media, then responding to a text message, then reading a headline, we are training our brains to be good at switching focus quickly. However, this comes at a cost. We are simultaneously training our brains to be bad at sustained, deep concentration. The neural pathways required for long periods of uninterrupted thought become weaker from lack of use. As I wrote in my book, The Shallows, the internet is eroding our capacity for concentration and contemplation, making us think more like a computer processing data and less like a human being engaged in deep reflection. This rewiring leads to a state that can be described as the illusion of competence. Because we are exposed to so many facts and sound bites so quickly, we can feel like we are learning a lot. We feel informed and knowledgeable. However, this is often a shallow understanding. True competence and expertise are built not through rapid exposure to information, but through slow, deliberate practice and deep, immersive study. The psychologist John Twenge has noted in her research a significant decline in the critical thinking and analytical skills of young adults, which she connects to their deep immersion in the digital world. The ultimate effect of this neurological rewiring is a change in the very nature of our thinking. Our thought process becomes more fragmented and less linear. We become excellent at finding information, but poor at connecting that information into a coherent and meaningful understanding of the world. We are sacrificing the ability to think deeply for the ability to process information quickly. This is a dangerous trade-off, because wisdom and true intelligence do not come from speed. They come from depth, patience, and the quiet, focused work of a contemplative mind. One of the most important activities for developing a thoughtful mind is the act of deep reading. When we read a book, especially a long and complex one, we engage in a unique form of thinking. We must follow a single, extended argument or narrative, hold many ideas in our minds at once, and make connections between different parts of the text. This process requires intense focus and concentration. It is a mental workout that strengthens our ability to think in a linear, logical, and sophisticated way. Deep reading builds our attention span and our capacity for empathy and critical analysis. However, in our current digital environment, this kind of reading is becoming increasingly rare. The internet encourages a different style of reading, skimming, and scanning. We jump from one link to another, our eyes darting across the page to find keywords and quick pieces of information. We are not reading in a traditional sense. We are foraging for data. This style of reading is useful for certain tasks, like finding a specific fact quickly, but when it becomes our primary way of engaging with text, it weakens the mental muscles needed for deep reading. The decline of deep reading has profound consequences for our intellectual development. When we lose the ability to read deeply, we also lose the ability to think deeply. The patient, focused mind that is cultivated by reading a book is the same mind that is needed to solve complex problems, to create new ideas, and to understand nuanced arguments. The internet, with its constant interruptions and hyperlinks, trains our minds to prefer short, simple, and immediate information. We become impatient with complexity and ambiguity, which are essential parts of any deep intellectual or artistic work. Therefore, the shift from the printed page to the screen is not just a simple change in technology. It is a change in our way of thinking. The calm, focused, and uninterrupted space created by a book is being replaced by the noisy, distracting, and fragmented space of the digital screen. As we spend more time in this digital space, our brains adapt to its demands. We are slowly but surely losing the art of deep reading, and with it, we risk losing the profound intellectual and emotional benefits that this practice has provided to humanity for centuries. Our education systems should be the place where we learn to counter these trends. Schools should be where young minds are trained in the arts of critical thinking, deep analysis, and intellectual curiosity. Ideally, a good education does not just fill a student's head with facts and figures. It provides them with the mental tools they need to evaluate information, form their own opinions, and continue learning throughout their lives. The most important goal of education should be to teach students how to think, not simply what to think. Unfortunately, many modern education systems are failing in this mission. They often operate on an industrial model, designed to produce workers who are obedient and can follow instructions. The focus is on standardization, memorization, and achieving high scores on standardized tests. Students learn to memorize facts for an exam and then quickly forget them. This approach rewards conformity and punishes creativity and independent thought. It creates students who are good at finding the right answer but are not equipped to handle complex problems that have no single, easy solution. This emphasis on memorization over understanding is made worse by the integration of technology in the classroom. While technology can be a powerful educational tool, it is often used in a way that encourages shallow learning. Students may be asked to create a quick presentation using information they found on the internet, which often involves copying and pasting rather than true comprehension. The focus shifts from the slow, difficult process of understanding a topic to the fast, easy process of presenting information. This teaches them that appearance is more important than substance. As a result, many students graduate from school without the fundamental skills of critical thinking. They may have a lot of information, but they lack the wisdom to use it effectively. They have not been trained to question assumptions, to identify bias, or to construct a logical argument. They have been taught to be passive consumers of information, rather than active and critical thinkers. This leaves them vulnerable to manipulation, and makes it harder for them to participate meaningfully in a complex and rapidly changing world. A true education must empower students to think for themselves. The modern media landscape has become another powerful force that discourages deep thinking. In the past, news organizations saw their primary role as informing the public, but today, in a crowded and competitive digital world, their main goal is often to provoke a strong emotional reaction. Media outlets, from traditional news websites to social media influencers, are competing for our attention. They've learned that the best way to capture that attention is to make us feel something intense, like anger, fear, or outrage. This strategy is really amplified by the algorithms that control what we see online. These computer programs are designed to maximize engagement, meaning they want to keep us clicking, commenting, and sharing. They figured out that emotionally charged and divisive content is the most engaging, so they create what some have called anger wars, where the most extreme and polarizing voices are promoted because they generate the most reaction. We're shown content that confirms our existing beliefs and makes us angry at those who disagree. This creates a pretty distorted and fragmented view of the world. This constant appeal to our emotions makes it very difficult to think clearly and rationally. When we're angry or afraid, the emotional parts of our brain take over, and the parts responsible for logical reasoning become less active. We become more likely to accept information that fits our emotional state, and to reject information that challenges it, regardless of the facts. The media exploits this human tendency. Instead of presenting balanced arguments and nuanced perspectives, it often presents a world of simple good versus evil narratives that demand an immediate and emotional response, not a thoughtful one. The result is a public discourse that is increasingly toxic and unproductive. We're losing the ability to have respectful disagreements and to find common ground. We're being trained to react instead of to reason. The media is no longer just a source of information. It's become an instrument of emotional manipulation. It profits from our division and our outrage. In this environment, the person who can stay calm, think critically, and look for the truth beyond the emotional noise is engaging in a powerful act of resistance against a system designed to control them. In an age of information scarcity, the primary tool of control was censorship. Governments or powerful institutions could control the population by hiding information and restricting access to knowledge. However, in our current age of information overload, a new and perhaps more effective form of control has emerged. Propaganda today thrives not by hiding the truth, but by drowning it in a flood of irrelevant, distracting, and false information. When there's just too much information, everything starts to feel like noise, and it becomes incredibly difficult to distinguish fact from fiction. The philosopher Hannah Arendt warned of a time when the distinction between truth and falsehood would become blurry. This is the reality we are now facing. When we're bombarded with conflicting reports, conspiracy theories, and manipulated content every single day, we begin to lose our trust in everything. It becomes easier to believe that there is no such thing as objective truth, only different opinions. In this state of confusion, people become cynical and disengaged. They feel that trying to find the truth is a hopeless task, so they give up and retreat into their own personal bubbles of information. This environment is the perfect breeding ground for misinformation and disinformation. It's just so easy for bad actors to spread lies when people are already overwhelmed and are not equipped with strong critical thinking skills. A fake news story that is emotionally appealing can spread across the world in minutes, while the careful fact-check correction that comes later is often ignored. We're constantly making judgments based on headlines, memes, and short video clips, without ever taking the time to investigate the source or verify the information. Our quick reactive thinking makes us easy targets for manipulation. The consequence of this information overload is a society that is losing its grip on reality. When we can't agree on a basic set of facts, it becomes impossible to have productive conversations about the serious challenges we face, from climate change to economic policy. We end up living in different realities, created by the algorithms that feed us a personalized stream of content. The shared ground of common knowledge, which is necessary for a functioning democracy, begins to crumble. We are drowning in a sea of data, yet we are desperately thirsty for the simple, solid ground of truth. The cumulative effect of these trends, engineered distraction, neurological rewiring, and information overload, is a society that is becoming mentally and emotionally exhausted. The philosopher Byung-Chul Han has described this as a burnout society. We're not oppressed by an external enemy, but by an internal pressure to always be connected, always be productive, and always be processing more information. This constant state of high alert leads to chronic stress, anxiety, and a feeling of being completely drained. A population that is burned out is too tired to question, to care, or to act. In this tired and distracted society, our values begin to change. We start to reward speed over depth, noise over silence, and reaction over reasoning. The person who can respond instantly with a clever comment on social media is often praised more than the person who takes time to think deeply and write a thoughtful analysis. Intelligence and expertise are sometimes mocked as being elitist, while ignorance is celebrated as being authentic or real. We're creating a culture where it's more acceptable to be loud and wrong than it is to be quiet and thoughtful. This glorification of ignorance is a dangerous path for any society. It undermines the value of education, science, and expertise. When expert opinions are treated as just one of many equally valid viewpoints, we lose our ability to make informed decisions based on evidence. This can have devastating consequences, whether it's in public health, environmental policy, or economic stability. A society that does not value truth and expertise is a society that is flying blind, making decisions based on emotion and popular opinion rather than on sound knowledge and careful reasoning. Ultimately, the dumbing down of humanity is not just an unfortunate side effect of our technology. It has become a mechanism of control. A distracted, emotionally volatile, and intellectually exhausted population is easy to manage. Such a population cannot organize effectively, challenge authority, or engage in the complex, long-term thinking needed to solve systemic problems. The shift away from deep thinking is not just a personal problem, it is a societal crisis that threatens the foundations of our democracy and our collective ability to build a better future. The picture I've painted is a concerning one, but it's not without hope. Our intelligence is not being stolen from us. In many cases, it's being willingly surrendered. Every time we let a screen think for us, every time we accept an answer without questioning it, and every time we choose distraction over reflection, we're giving away a small piece of our mental sovereignty. The good news is that we can choose to stop. The power to reclaim our minds lies within each of us. The first and most crucial step is to become aware of the forces that are shaping our thoughts. To resist this trend, we must intentionally create space for quiet and disconnection in our lives. This means taking regular breaks from our screens. Set aside specific times each day to put your phone away, turn off the notifications, and simply be present in the real world. Go for a walk in nature, listen to music without doing anything else, or just sit in silence and allow your thoughts to wander. These moments of quiet are not empty. They're the fertile ground where deep thinking, creativity, and self-awareness can grow. Thinking deeply has become a radical act of resistance. We must also rediscover the lost art of deep reading. Make a conscious choice to read real, physical books. Unlike a screen, a book is a space of focused, uninterrupted thought. Challenge yourself to read long and complex texts that require your full attention. This practice will not only expand your knowledge, but will also rebuild your attention span and strengthen your ability to think critically. Reading a book is not just about consuming information, it's about having a deep conversation with an author and with yourself. Finally, we must choose to be conscious. The enemy is not technology itself, but our unconscious use of it. We must become active and deliberate users of our digital tools, not passive consumers. Question the information you see. Seek out different perspectives. Value depth over speed, and reflection over reaction. The future will not belong to the smartest machines. It will belong to the most conscious humans. By choosing to protect our minds from constant distraction and to cultivate our ability for deep thought, we can ensure that we remain the masters of our technology, not its servants.